Hey guys, it's that time of the month again, and I'm here to share my top 5 favorite albums for the month of May. I'm going to go through them chronological order of release, and these albums were reviewed by me throughout the month of May. That is my prerequisite in order for a record to make this list. So let's start off with Burning Witches, The Dark Tower, out May 5th on Napalm Records. This is the band's 5th studio album. They are a heavy metal band, and this is their best album to date since their debut album. I have no doubts about that. The more that I listen to the record, the more I'm sure about what I just said. This is a phenomenal album, not overly polished. This is a very raw sounding album. But that rawness of sound allows the record to be heavier than what I was expecting it, definitely heavier than some of the previous records, but also a lot darker. And you're going to get that darkness, that essence of darkness, not just in the sound, but also in the overall vocal approach. This album brings out the best out of Laura. I feel like the sound that they created is perfect for her to excel and showcase all of her talents, all of her range. When you put all of these different pieces together, you have an outstanding record. Powerful album, a different album by Burning Witches, but one that stands out because of the quality that it has. Next we have Currents, The Death We Seek, out May 5th on Sharp Tone Records.
Reflections of violent shadows follow me for life. Navigating the foolishness, but suddenly you're all what you want. I can offer even now on this road. Set a course for a new life. Reach.
This is the band's 3rd studio album. They are a metalcore band, and this one so far in 2023 is in my top 3 albums of the year when it comes to metalcore. It's just an outstanding record, musically, vocally, lyrically, from a production standpoint. This is one of those albums that it's very hard for you to look for flaws and find them. It also has a great shelf life. Doesn't matter how many times you listen to it, it always sounds great. It always feels great. It's very fresh. It doesn't become redundant. It doesn't become boring. I feel like you discover certain nuances that perhaps you didn't notice before, but it just has a great flow, has a great design, great structure, great individual tracks that then give great overall quality to what it is to sit down and go from first to last on this record. Next we have Dai Humane, The Grotesque, out May 5th on Worm Group. This is the band's debut record. They are a rock, metal, avant-garde, new. I don't even know how to define this band. All I know is that they have guitars, drums, and a great vocalist, and they created an album that sounded like nothing I've ever heard before. This is a very unique sounding record, but it's an album that has such warmth to it. It's inviting. When you listen to this record, you feel invited to a party. that perhaps you're the only person in it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just love the overall construction. Let's start off with that. Having the intros of the songs separated from the tracks, allowing you to have two different experiences. One when you listen to the record, the other one when you listen to it on Spotify. It's genius. It adapts itself to an older audience and to a more modern audience. And then the essence of the album. The sound is outstanding. Great guitar playing, great drumming, and over-the-top vocal performance. The vocal performance on this record is what solidifies the quality of the album, because the sound definitely brings you in. The sound is inviting. The sound is warm. But what keeps you there is the vocal performance. That is definitely what allows you to feel like you can peel layers, that you can go through this album and always find that there is something there for you every single time. It's a great record with great dynamics, with great design, done by incredibly talented musicians. Next we have Cattle Decapitation with Terrasite, out May 12th on Metal Blade Records. This is the band's 8th studio album. They are a death metal band, and this album surpasses Death Atlas, which I didn't think was possible. I honestly thought that that was the pinnacle of Cattle Decapitation, at least in the short term. Not to say that 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, they couldn't create another album of that magnitude. But no, they didn't wait that long. The follow-up was even better. So this is an album that, from a theme point of view, from a concept point of view, picks up exactly where Death Atlas left off. So there's that sense of continuity from one record to another, at least from a lyrical content and from a concept standpoint. But that's where the changes end, because musically this is a very different sounding record. Vocally, this is also a very different record. It's an album that offers different elements, more concise elements. It's definitely an album that has more of a sense of direction musically. And because of it, it's easier to digest. You're able to process all the thickness, all the layers, all the texture surrounding this album a lot better, which then allows you to dive deeper into the lyrical content and also connect on that front in a very different way. They're a very unique band. They're a band that's able to tell you important messages without making you feel like they're preaching to you. And this album, perhaps even more so than Death Atlas, is a perfect example of those attributes. An outstanding record, a record that's going to stand the test of time. It's one of those for the ages. It's a 10 out of 10, and I don't even grade albums, but it's just one of those records. Last but definitely not least, Immortal War Against All, out May 26 on Nuclear Blast.
Ghost as of the sky, silence of a ghost, no light at the end of its day, lashes I see, cold in my side, flashing to me, eternal light.
This is the band's 10th studio album. They are a black metal band, an iconic black metal band. And this album is a lot better than Northern Chaos Gods. I don't like to compare albums. I honestly don't. I like to look at each record individually and judge the album on its own merits. But it's almost impossible not to look at these two records side by side because of what they mean in the historical discography of the band. And when you look at them side by side, this one is leaps forward in terms of quality, in terms of design, and in terms of the musical attributes that it offers. It's definitely an album that feels more focused, that feels more grounded, that takes perhaps the mistakes and all the things that were done extremely well in the previous record, Northern Chaos Gods, and then makes it feel like there is a learning lesson and we're going to push ourselves forward, leave all of those mistakes behind, and just upgrade everything else around it. That's exactly how War Against All comes through. A very dynamic record, lots of ebbs and flows, never sounding repetitive, never feeling like you've heard this song again. Oh, this one sounds just like that one. No, every song has its own individual DNA, its own individual fingerprint, but all of them, all of those fingers are part of the same hand that wrote it. And that's an important element on any album. You want to offer diversity to a certain extent, but you want to still make sure that that diversity comes together with one single point of origin. And that's what this album offers, a single point of origin. I love this record. It has great sound, great movement, very dynamic, like I said, great playability from start all the way to the end. This is it. These are my favorite 5 albums for the month of May. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know which 5 make your list. I wish this list could have been a little bit longer because, for example, Sirenia with 1977 is definitely a record that deserves a mention that I would have loved to have included on this list. And like that one, many others. Balance Breach with Abyzmal, another great metalcore record. But I had to narrow down to my top 5, and these ones are the ones that made the list. So hit me up once again. Let me know your thoughts on my list. Let me know your thoughts on your list, and I'll see you all at the next video.